What if everyone you ever loved simply vanished? Not died, not left, just gone. One morning they were there, and then a ship appeared, took them all away and disappeared over the horizon, and you are left standing on a shore, watching the ocean swallow the only connection you had to the human world. Now forget days, forget month, 18 years. 18 years without hearing another human voice, without knowing if the world out there even remembered you existed. And then one day, footsteps appear in the sand, and the world comes back, but it's already too late. This is the true story of a woman who was forgotten and survived anyway. Her name, her real name, we never knew. The world called her Juana Maria, but that wasn't her name. It was just the name they gave her when there was no one left who could understand who she really was. She lived on San Nicolas Island, rising from the cold waters of the Pacific like a forgotten place. Cold, dry, swept by constant winds. A place where surviving was already hard, even with an entire community around you. And for thousands of years, that community existed. The Nicoleno people, they knew exactly how to live there. They knew when the sea gave food. They knew where to find water. They knew every tide, every wind, every route and current of that island. It was not just where they lived, it was who they were. Until the modern world arrived and destroyed everything. In the early 1800s, hunters came to the island. They didn't come to stay. They came to take fur, profit, resources. And what happened next was fast. Violence, disease, collapse. An entire population reduced to almost nothing. Until in 1835, someone made a decision. The few survivors would be removed from the island, taken to the mainland, for protection, for a better life. But the evacuation was chaotic, a storm closing in, panic, people being separated, names being shouted across the wind, and then the ship left. And somewhere in that chaos, someone realized one woman was not on board. She was still on the island, alone, and no one went back. And here begins what no one can fully answer even today. Why did she stay? Was it a mistake? Was she forgotten? Or did she choose to stay? Some stories say she jumped off the ship because her child wasn't with her. Others say she never made it on board at all. And there is a third possibility, much quieter than the others. She simply wasn't there when the ship departed, and when she realized it, the boat was already a dot on the horizon, and the world had gone. What comes next is not a rescue story. It's a story of adaptation, because she didn't die. She stayed, and she learned to live completely alone. She built shelter from the bones of whales that washed up the beach, weaving them together with long grasses and driftwood into a structure that could withstand the Pacific winds. She made clothing from the skins of seals and the feathers of cormorants, stitching them together with needles she carved from bird bones. She hunted. She fished. She collected rainwater in natural basins between the rocks. She started fire with friction, and she kept that fire burning every single day, because letting the fire die could mean the end. Every single thing she needed to survive, she made herself, from nothing. But the most extraordinary part wasn't physical. It was the silence. Without a shared language, the mind begins to change. And yet, there are signs she resisted even that. She sang traditional songs, She talked to herself. She kept records of her time etched into sticks. She was still decorating her tools years into her isolation, still crafting with intention and care, as if she were trying to prove to herself that she was still human. Think about what that means. Most of us struggle to maintain our sense of self when things get hard for a few weeks. Juana Maria maintained hers for 18 years, completely alone, with zero external validation, zero confirmation that any of it mattered. She just kept going, because that is who she was. Years passed, then decades. The world kept moving. California changed hands. The gold rush transformed the West Coast overnight. Cities were built. Hundreds of thousands of people flooded in chasing fortunes. And on a small island 60 miles offshore, a woman watched the same sunrises and sunsets she had always watched, season after season, year after year. And here's what makes it even stranger. Ships passed the island, hunters, sailors, occasional visitors, but no one found her. Or she didn't want to be found. After what happened to her people, perhaps the greatest danger was other humans. Until in 1853, nearly 2 decades later, a man named George Nidiver decided to look. He'd heard rumours, vague stories passed between sailors, signs that someone might still be out there. His crew searched the island for days. They found a shelter, tools, evidence of a life being lived. And then, on their last night on the island, they found her. She was hiding in the brush, watching them. When she finally stepped forward, she was calm, she was healthy, and she was smiling. She didn't speak. No one understood her language, but she did something simple. She offered them food, roasted wild onions, as if to say, I'm not a threat, and maybe also, I still remember what it means to be human. She sang them a song memorized on the spot by one of Nidiver's crew, later translated as an expression of joy, of readiness, of peace. She was taken to Santa Barbara. Crowds gathered just to see her. For the first time in 18 years, she was not alone. But here is where the story breaks your heart. 7 weeks after her rescue, just 7 weeks, Juana Maria was dead. It wasn't hunger, it wasn't cold, it wasn't loneliness. It was the contact. Her body, so perfectly calibrated to the clean air and wild food of San Nicolas Island, could not adjust to the diet and environment of Santa Barbara. She fell ill and died before anyone had a real chance to know her. She died without ever being able to tell her own story. No one spoke her language. The Nicoleno tongue died with the last of her people. Her real name was never recorded. She is buried in Santa Barbara. Her grave was lost for many years. And in the end, almost everything was lost. Her name, her language, her complete story. But one thing remained. In 1960, author Scott Odell published Island of the Blue Dolphins, a novel based on her life that became one of the most beloved books ever written, never out of print, read by millions. The world remembered her, not because someone saved her, but because of the life she built when no one was watching. For 18 years, with no one watching, no one helping, no one even remembering she existed, she chose to keep going. And maybe that's the hardest part to fully understand. Not the survival, not the isolation, but the fact that every single day, with no reason to believe anyone was coming, she woke up, she kept the fire burning, and she lived. If her story moved you, share it. Someone in your life needs to hear it today. Subscribe for more true stories of survival. I'll see you in the next one.